Jay and Jason, you guys are on the show, so I wanted to make sure we got a little Guardians talk in. And unfortunately, it's not the happiest of Guardians news. Over the weekend, federal prosecutors came out and have now said that Emmanuel Clase is suspected of throwing, in their words, suspicious pitches in 48 different games over the last 3 years. That's a significant increase from the initial number that was reported. In that same report from the federal prosecutors, Luis Ortiz does not want his case to be tried and connected to the Clase case because he believes, according to Ortiz's representation, they are two very different things. You can make your own determination on that. The trial is set for May 4th, but Jay, 48 suspicious games now for Emmanuel Clase. I don't know what to say.
I want to know, were any of them the playoff games?
I think it's a fair question to ask.
That's what I want to know.
Yep, you have to. At first, you tried to avoid that or tried to deny it. And not you, all of us tried to deny
because
it.
We didn't want to go there.
As long as possible. But at this point, how do you not?
When we go back, now, what's weird is if it was just the first pitch, throwing 58-footers on the first pitch for balls, I'd want to know what evidence as bad as that is, I just don't, it doesn't, if there's a hitter and he went 0 for 12 with 11 strikeouts, that's far more damaging to your team. I would like to know of the counts that he handicapped himself 1-0, what happened on those at-bats? What percentage of those guys made outs?
I looked it up when it was a short number, when it was the smaller number.
Yeah, we thought there were 12, right, or something?
Yeah, and he got most of them out, I think.
Yeah.
I think.
And I would imagine, if there's a guy that I would feel okay going down 1-0, it's him.
Yeah,
it doesn't excuse what he did.
You can't have a guy out there throwing.
No. Here's where I'm going with this. If he and again, those were regular season games. If there is a shred of evidence that he did this in a playoff game, I never want to hear his name mentioned again.
Oh.
Ever. I don't want to hear it 5 years from now, hey, he's still got something left. Can he pitch? Go play in the Mexican League. Go play in Korea. I don't know if anybody will take him. I'm not sure. But I just can't believe that a player would be that dumb to throw away guaranteed money of what, $10 million this year? Is that what he had?
Yeah, I think.
I need to hear. I want to see if he'll testify. I want to hear.
I would hope so.
I would like to hear what was the rationale, big dog. I
want to hear what evidence they have.
Right.
Do they have? I know that there were unusual bets placed. Okay, well, if there were unusual bets placed,
yeah, I
want to know where did they come from? How many bets were there?
They've got all the text messages and everything in the whole system.
They've got a case, yeah. I can't believe that it's not going to be until May.
I need the Dateline NBC on this.
I do too. I'm very curious to see, but I think I've said it all along. I think his career's over. He'll never pitch in the major leagues again.
Yeah. He's facing prison.
Yes,
he's going to prison.
Yeah,
if he's convicted of this.
At some point, professional sports and the bookmakers have to come to this conclusion. We need a poster child for why this can't happen.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid, for his sake, that it's him. I think today's players know the name Pete Rose. They don't really know Pete Rose. They don't even probably know. They just think he bet on baseball and that's it. They don't know the details.
Right.
But betting now is far more part of our culture than it was in the 1980s when Pete Rose was doing this.
Is Clase, was he born in the United States or he's a citizen?
No.
So he might get deported, right?
I would imagine.
Does he have to do time here?
I would imagine that if he's found guilty and they sentence him to prison time, that he'll serve that time here. Mm-hmm. And then he'll be deported.
And one thing I want to mention real quick, and I should have done it in a graphic. So he's now accused by federal prosecutors of suspicious pitches in 48 games.
Yeah.
He appeared in 197 over that span. It's almost a quarter of the games.
Yeah.
It's just shy of 25%.
Yep.
Of the games he appeared in between 2023 and 2025 has suspicious activity of some kind. That's an absurdly high percentage.
It also tells me, so even if they don't have evidence of him doing it in a playoff game, to me, his mind, what must he have been thinking when he came? His number one priority when he came into the bullpen, and what is the number one sin for a manager? when they bring in someone from the bullpen.
You can't be walking nobody.
Don't throw strikes.
You can't be walking nobody,
and his priority as he comes out of the gate and the whole song and dance and dog and pony show is going on, he's got one thought in mind. A 58-foot slider. I'm going to spike one in front of home plate, and I'm going to get my buddies paid.
And I'm not excusing that at all. There's a huge difference in spiking a 58-foot pitch in May and hanging a meatball in October.
You're 100% right.
And I remember in real time we were talking about it, and I thought like he made a couple good pitches on the edges, and they just hit him out.
Like Soto,
they're the Yankees.
It was crazy.
Judge hit a cutter off the
Didn't
edge
Carpenter
of the plate.
take him deep too?
I mean, a bunch of guys did.
Yeah,
but he hung a bunch of meatballs.
Stanton, I think
He hung some pitches early on where he was missing the spots like he had never missed before, and that's where we were like, wow. So that's the type of stuff that I look at and go, like if you take what cutter 99 on the edge and you hit it out to right, congratulations,
and
you did
cap.
your job.
And then,
but if you're hanging one in the middle of the plate against these guys,
Especially in a playoff game.
I always will look at him being on the like him being on the internet with all his awards and trophies.
that was so ridiculous.
Like
he
I
went
was just
home and started posting his trophies.
He did an Instagram live
Bro,
of all of his awards.
Like, and I was like,
his
bro,
12-year-old CYO.
He had all, he had back to back AAU national champions.
Throwing 75 when he was 11.
Got that trash can set up, curl hopping, throwing from the.
That was not good.
I've said this before. If you had told me last year you would be in this position with a Guardians pitcher and you have to guess which one it would be, my first guess, my second guess, and my third guess would be Emmanuel Clase.
Yeah.
I mean, Ortiz, Ortiz is like, yo, listen, I want to separate my case. I don't even want to be next to this joint. Like, he's like, I got to get a proper.
Yeah, don't put me in with him.
Nah, bro.
I did it twice.
My stuff was different. Listen, he got to claim ransom or something, bro. He got to say they had my people abducted.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how these cases play out, but I can't imagine that either one beat the rap. Maybe Ortiz. The one thing that I had, we were talking about this upstairs when it first broke, and I thought, I know we're all killing the guy, and we've tried him, and we've convicted him, and we've sentenced him.
Hard not to. I know we shouldn't.
Hard not to.
When the feds when the feds say you did it,
and I don't know what his defense is going to be.
Fed's conviction rate's like 99%.
Oh yeah, when they bring charges, you're going to jail.
Yeah.
They don't bring charges unless they got the goods.
Yeah.
But I say all that because what if there was a scenario? There's an awful situation going on in the United States of a high celebrity family member. Savannah Guthrie's mother has been kidnapped, and there's ransom. One of the things that was discussed, because Tucson's location to Mexico was, well, this is a cartel play. This is what the cartel does. This is their playbook. And because we don't really typically, these are unheard of. I mean, they're very, very rare in the U.S. And what I had said when I first heard this, I said, short of some syndicate member coming up to him and saying, so here's going to be our deal. And it's not an offer. This is what's going to happen. We're going to get word to you when you're going to throw a first pitch ball. And as long as you play ball with us, your family is safe in the DR. No one's going to go near them. No one's going to. But you want to find out what happens? Let our guys place high stakes bets, and you don't cooperate. I'm making this up. Yeah. I don't know. It's about the only thing I can think of as a defense.
That was the theory when this first came out. I know it had been sort of discussed in certain circles.
I mean, you'd have to have a lot of evidence to that.
The reason why I have sort of moved off of that as a possibility is because if you go back and look at the text messages with Ortiz, very clear, it doesn't seem as if anybody's life was in danger on this. It was very much let's make some money on this.
Guys,
what a shame.
Let me just let y'all know something,
You got $10 million guaranteed and you're money grabbing for bets?
Yep.
This thing right here
Picking up nickels
is a homing device. You do know the government got all your...
yeah.
What people still be texting.
And what they don't have, if they want, they can get. And what's stunning to me is that there is a new documentary out. It's on Vice about how we're losing a whole generation of young American males. The rate of young men that are addicted to gambling has, as you would imagine, skyrocketed because of the opportunity now.
Yep.
And Vice is one of those outlets that really doesn't have tie. They don't care what they're just going to go do journalism.
I mean, I thought they was going to blow up afterwards. That's another question.
No,
Vice was great.
Yeah. But I haven't seen it yet. It's been highly recommended to me. I know someone that has a gambling problem, a younger male. You guys may know someone that has a gambling problem. I think if nothing else, what's going to come from this, and I know you had said once that you didn't think that was going to happen because when the genie's out of the bottle, it's out of the bottle. But I do think that we're going to see reform to the betting industry. And I think these prop bets are going away.
I think they'll ban the micro bets, yes.
Yeah, these individual prop bets, it's too big of a temptation. In this case, it doesn't make any sense.
They've limited the cap. They've capped how much you can bet on some of these micro bets. I still maintain they should just abolish them.
I agree. And I do think ultimately that's kind of where we're going.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
I mean,
this next pitch betting stuff, like if you're next pitch betting,
you're in trouble.
You likely have a problem.
But I mean, and now it's gotten to the point, and this is a whole other conversation, but Polymarket and Kalshi and some of these prediction markets where they do it where there's not legalized betting because it's predictions.
Exactly.
And you're betting against the other person. Kalshi made, I think I saw this morning, Kalshi made, or I shouldn't say made, what bets made on Kalshi totaled $500 million in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
$500 million.
And they're a threat to the gambling industry. It's two different things, really.
Yes.
I first found out about Polymarkets before the 2024 presidential election. Someone told me about them in June of that year. And I'm fascinated by algorithms and numbers and chances and betting and all the analytics that go along with that. And I thought, gosh, there's really no way they can do this. But then I sort of dug down into what Polymarket was doing and how they were doing it. And it was methodical. It was scientific. And they had been saying with great certainty, they were predicting who was going to win, which race, which state, which congressional races that were big. And they hit just about everything. They did not miss. And I've followed them since that point. And now Kalshi's a little different, but it's a very similar thing. These guys are doing their homework and they're fine. But on the predictive end of it, it opens up a whole new can of worms. And I think that the sports betting industry itself has to really be buttoned up now more than ever before because this temptation is so great. If you got a guy making $10 million a year fixing pitches,
bro,
who's off limits?
There's the big four, there's the big five. Like if you a dude or you a kid growing up, there's like, bro, you could be it's just crazy. You could be in drugs will get you. If it ain't that, it's the gambling.
Sure.
Second to that is social media.
Yeah.
Throw pornography, throw all these other different things in here. And then you got a thing where people is living in completely detached worlds where it's like you see people walking around and they're not even like cognizant. They're living in, you talk to them, they're in a different world. Like you got to think about this. Like this man is making $10 million. At what point do you have that amount of money coming in that you still are? But then again, like it's a disease, it's a thing. So, and I always, my grandfather used to always tell me, everybody has a vice. It's just whether or not you find out what it is.
Or, like, I do think that there are people that just lean towards whether it's alcohol or drugs or whatever, and then you have an addictive personality. Yeah. There actually is an addictive gene, which is nuts when you think about it. Yeah. Like, everything in moderation. If you can control it, I always say bet what you can afford to lose. When you start betting more than that, and then you start making bigger bets to get out of that hole, you're digging yourself to China.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. One thing I wanted to point out, I wanted to ask you this is a little bit off topic. You were going to do a piece on the NFL and fourth down and going for it. And
it ran last week.
Oh, God, I missed it. I'm going to have to go back and read it. I was doing some research watching the game yesterday, and I looked up the teams that went for it on fourth down the most. And the team that went for it on fourth down the least
is the team that won the Super Bowl.
Was the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, I had that in there.
7, oh, you did, okay. 7 of the top 8 made the playoffs. The bottom, with 1 or 2 exceptions, all missed the playoffs.
I drilled down.
I found that fascinating.
Mike's got to go.
We'll do it in overtime.
I drilled down on red zone. It was red zone. Going
Red zone,
forward or kicking in the red zone.
Yeah, I just started digging around on fourth quarter, and the Browns, by the way, were middle of the pack-ish. The only team in the top 8 to not make the playoffs, I think, was the Cincinnati Bengals. And they were a team that should have made the playoffs if their quarterback wasn't dinged early.
Yeah.
But I just found that fascinating that the number, the fourth down, I believe that we're going to take a shift back away from that. I hope.
All right.